the physically lazy hamster. In a bustling meadow nestled between the forest and the river lived a community of animals who thrived on cooperation, work, and balance. Among them was a little hamster named Milo. Milo was charming in his round, fluffy way, with sparkling black eyes and fur as soft as the wheat that grew in the fields. Yet, despite his pleasant looks and sharp mind, Milo had a fault that the whole meadow knew too well. He was unbearably, almost famously, physically lazy, while others ran errands, gathered food, and built homes. Milo preferred to nap under the shade of the oak tree or lounge near the berry bushes. He would say, "Why should I strain myself when others are already working so hard? The world is full of strong animals. Surely they don't need my tiny paws adding much." This excuse became his shield, and over time, it shaped his reputation. The animals tolerated his laziness at first, hoping Milo would grow out of it. The rabbits dug burrows, the squirrels collected acorns, the hedgehogs prepared cozy nests, and even the busy ants worked in lines. Milo, however, only filled his cheeks with food when it was offered to him, rarely bothering to store anything for the cold months. He lived each day on borrowed generosity. One day, while the meadow was buzzing with preparation for the coming autumn, a majestic eagle named Orin descended from the skies. His golden feathers gleamed in the sunlight, and his sharp eyes surveyed the meadow like a watchful guardian. Orin was respected and sometimes feared, for he was powerful, but he was also wise and often shared lessons with the smaller creatures. Milo, Orin's deep voice, boomed one morning when he saw the hamster lying belly up on a rock, basking in the sun. "Why do you not work with your neighbors? Don't you see how they toil to prepare for the winter?" Milo yawned, rolled lazily onto his side, and said, "Oh, mighty Orin, you have wings that carry you anywhere, rabbits that dig tirelessly, and ants that never rest. Surely, the meadow will survive without the help of one small hamster. My strength lies not in my paws, but in my cleverness."
When winter comes, I will find a way to manage. Orin tilted his head, unimpressed.
Cleverness without effort is like a wing without feathers, useless when the storm arrives. But Milo only chuckled and stuffed another berry into his mouth, thinking himself witty. The days grew shorter, the air crisper. Everyone worked harder except Milo. He lounged while others built strong shelters. He watched while squirrels stored mountains of nuts. He laughed when rabbits dug deeper burrows. Sometimes he offered comments from his resting place. Too much work for so little comfort. Or you'll all tire yourselves out before winter even arrives. As autumn faded into the chill of early winter, food grew scarce. Snowflakes began to fall, blanketing the meadow in white. The once busy fields lay silent under frost. Animals disappeared into their warm dens, secure with their hard-earned stores. Milo, however, found himself shivering in his shallow hole, his cheeks empty of food, his stomach growling. He knocked at the rabbit's burrow, but the rabbits said, "We warned you, Milo. We worked for our families. We cannot spare much." He scurried to the squirrel's hollow, but they too turned him away. Winter is long. Milo, you chose to rest instead of prepare. Even the ants ignored him, sealed away deep underground. Desperate and weak, Milo stumbled back to the oak tree where he had spent his lazy afternoons. He curled under the roots, cold and trembling. Just as despair overwhelmed him, a shadow crossed the snow. Orin, the eagle, landed beside him, wings outstretched like a great cloak. "Are you ready to listen now, Milo?" the eagle asked. With a faint squeak, Milo whispered, "I was wrong."
Orin, I thought cleverness alone could sustain me, but I see now that without work, even the cleverest plans collapse.
"Please, don't let me perish." Orin studied him for a long moment. Then, with a gentle but firm grip, he lifted Milo into the air and carried him high above the snowy meadow. They flew until they reached a sheltered cliffside, where other small animals, those who had worked hard but still struggled, were gathered. Orin placed Milo among them. "You will survive this winter," Orin said. but only because I believe every creature deserves a chance to learn from failure. Remember this, Mercy, Milo, and repay it with effort. The hamster nodded, tears freezing on his whiskers. That winter was not easy for Milo. He had to share cramped quarters, work for scraps, and endure the scolding of animals who knew his lazy habits. Yet he learned to fetch twigs, to gather snow for melting, to dig tunnels. His paws grew calloused, his body leaner, his spirit humbled. He discovered something surprising. When he worked, even in small ways, he felt warmer, not just in body, but in heart. He felt connected to those around him. When spring finally returned, Milo was no longer the same. The meadow blossomed again, and the animals emerged from their shelters. To everyone's surprise, Milo was among the first to help rebuild nests, plant seeds, and collect food. The rabbits blinked in disbelief. The squirrels whispered, "Has Milo changed?" Even the ants paused in their lines to observe. Milo did not boast or make excuses anymore. He simply worked, day after day, proving his commitment.
Slowly, trust returned.
The rabbits invited him into their games. The squirrels shared jokes with him, and even the hedgehogs nodded in approval. Orin, circling high above, watched with quiet satisfaction. One afternoon, he descended again and said, "You see, Milo, effort brings respect, and respect brings belonging. Laziness isolates, but work binds you to your community." Milo bowed his small head. "I understand now. I wasted so much time thinking others could carry me. But kindness fades when not repaid, and cleverness means nothing without action. From now on, I will be remembered not as the lazy hamster, but as the one who learned." And indeed, as years passed, Milo kept his promise. Though he was never the fastest nor the strongest, he became reliable, steady, and grateful. He even encouraged the younger hamsters not to repeat his mistake, telling them stories of the bitter winter when he almost lost everything. The meadow thrived, and Milo thrived with it. No longer a burden, but a true part of the community.
And whenever Orin soared above, Milo would wave his tiny paw in thanks, remembering the day when mercy and wisdom saved his life.
Seasons turned, and Milo's story spread beyond the meadow. Traveling, sparrows carried the tale to distant valleys. Speaking of the hamster who once wasted his chances but found redemption through effort, young animals listened with wide eyes, some laughing at his old laziness, others nodding thoughtfully at his change. Milo himself never minded the laughter. He even chuckled along, for he knew that the laughter carried the lesson further. In time, Milo became not just a member of the meadow, but a teacher. Hamster pups, rabbits, and even squirrel kids gathered to hear him speak. He told them plainly, "Work may tire your paws, but it strengthens your heart.
Laziness feels light today but grows heavier tomorrow.
Choose the weight that builds you, not the one that breaks you." Orin continued to watch from above, content that the small hamster had transformed. Sometimes the eagle even perched nearby, listening silently as Milo taught, pleased that his warning had become wisdom that would outlive them both. And so, Milo's legacy endured. Once known as the physically lazy hamster, he became remembered for effort, humility, and the courage to change. His story traveled farther than his tiny paws ever could, proving that even the smallest creature, once awakened, could leave behind a lesson for the world.